All right, Rebels, welcome to the beginning of something different. This is Podcasters Business Insider, the daily show where creators stop playing small and start building like business owners. Here, we don't chase downloads for vanity, we build systems, strategies, and shows that actually pay the bills. If you've ever felt stuck, like recording into the void, wondering if your podcast will ever grow into something more than just a hobby, this is where the guesswork ends because you're not just a podcaster, you're a founder, a strategist, a builder. And together, we're going to turn your microphone into a media empire. So buckle up, Pod Rebels, because clarity beats chaos, strategy beats hustle, and momentum beats perfection. Let's get into it. Growth doesn't happen by accident. It happens by design. Today, we're going to break down the system behind podcast growth, plus two big tech stories shaping how your audience will consume content in the future. All right, let's get into it. As I said before, let's get into it. Before we get into it, I just want to address something why I haven't been consistent with these lives. There has been some family issues that I've been trying to deal with. Some inevitable things, but it's part of life. And for the near future, I'm going to do my best to get these lives out. It's going to be a little bit of a hectic time, but such is life sometimes. This is my part-time job. And I'm going to be treating it as a full-time job. So, news article number 1. Apple's liquid glass could be its most decisive design yet. From Wired. From the website wired.com. Liquid glass could be one of Apple's most decisive systems yet, designed yet. Wow, that's a direct quote. Liquid glass promises lighter, more resilient devices. Creators may record and edit on the go without fear of cracks or fragility. So basically, this is a new form of glass that Apple is creating for their phones, and it has to, I guess the design of it is more of a liquid form rather than the everyday glass form that we have. I don't know if you've seen, but this phone itself, it has a couple cracks. I dropped it a couple times, but apparently this form of new glass is going to be a little bit more sturdier, more rigid, more better. There is a little bit of design controversy. Apple does have a history of polarizing design moves. For example, removing headphone jacks, USB-C adoption. This could divide users, but also push the industry forward. And what we have seen in the past with Apple is that this is a thing that they actually push forward. And this is how the industry goes. They follow Apple. I'm a Microsoft guy. I love my Microsoft stuff, and my Samsung and my Android stuff. But truth be told, if it wasn't for Apple, we wouldn't have smartphones. I mean, there are a couple of companies that can have that argument, especially coming out of Asia, especially Japan. They have, I think, the first touch phone that I have ever used was not Apple. It was, the name of it is eluding me right now. But I think it was maybe a year before Apple, where I was using it would look more like it was an it was a phone slash PDA. I don't know if you guys remember PDAs. This is going back to about 2002. Yeah, about 2002. And the name of the company, the name of the phone that I was using is eluding me at this moment. So I apologize. But I think I was using that before Apple came out with their phone. And everybody was looking at me. They're like, wow, that's a cool PDA. I'm like, it's not a PDA. It's a phone. It's an actual phone. It was about the size of this. It was about the size of this. And it had a stylus with it. So I was using the stylus to use it as a phone, as a PDA. Now, how does this impact creators and audiences? Tougher, thinner devices may change how podcasters capture content in the field and how listeners consume without bulky cases or constant worry. This is, if you've been paying attention to the last 15 years of what's happening with these things, there's a pattern to these things. I don't know if you guys have noticed the pattern, and there is a pattern. They go bulky, they go big, and then they go small and slim, and then bulky again and tiny. They'll go from this to about half of it, and they're like, "Ooh, look how cool, look how cute that is." And then they get sick of it and they go back to something as bulky as this. Now, this is being built a little bit more bulkier because of the case. This is pretty thin. This is the Samsung Galaxy 2021 5G. So, I mean, what this is basically telling me right now is that the industry is going to be compressing and making things a little bit smaller again. They've done this before. And if you say, when, John, when have they done this before? Well, flip phones, Blackberries. They were tiny. Blackberries would fit in the palm of your hand. Flip phones would fit in the palm of your hand. You could flip it and it would be the length of your hand. And they were slim. So I mean, they go out, they come back in, they come. It's a little bit of a cycle. I don't pay too much attention because I understand what's going on, and I'm like, I like the bigger, bulkier phones. I can feel it in my hand. I remember when cell phones first came out, they were actual phones. They were like bricks. Early 90s. I'm mid 90s. I'm dating myself now. So this is an indicator right now that phones are going to start to compress again. How much so? I don't know. I hope they don't go back to those tiny little phones because those were a nuisance. I mean, they had phones that were about the size of this Raspberry Pi box. And it's maybe half the size of that. I remember when it was that small. I have a feeling they're going to go back maybe even smaller, maybe even the thickness of this. Let's see if you can see that on a white background. Thickness of that. It's possible with these new batteries that they're coming out with. We will only see. And what it means for content creators, not much really. Not much more difference than what it is now. I'll be honest with you, because we're more concerned about camera, the image, and the sound. That's it. I don't care about how thick or how small or how big or how tiny the phone is. I don't care. I just care about clarity, and I care about clarity of video and audio, and that's it. That's all I care about. I can carry this in my pocket. I can carry this in my pocket. I know this is in my pocket because I can feel it. This, not so much. It's easy to lose. I know. I've never lost. Oh, now that I just said it, watch. I'm going to lose my phone. Up until this point in time in my life, I have never lost a phone. I said this exact same thing about breaking the glass on my cell phone, and what ended up happening. I not only broke the glass on that phone, on the other two phones that I have as well. So I have a feeling I'm going to lose my phone. I don't want to lose my phone. All right, moving on. The Verge. Article number 2 comes from The Verge. Silicon carbon batteries could change phones. Excerpt. Silicon carbon batteries could give smartphones far longer life and faster charging than today's lithium ion standards. Extended listening time. I don't know. I don't talk on the phone that much. I try to limit how much time I use with this thing on the side of my ear. Try and limit it. Why? It's not healthy for you. Many studies have shown in the past and in the current, the recent and past and distant past, that cell phone use too much is no good for you. It does cause brain cancer, and it's not healthy for you to use all the time. If you are using your cell phone to be listening to wonderful podcasts and live streams such as this, Podcaster's Business Insider, it does drain your battery. And it does drain your battery quickly. Now, if these new batteries, these silicon carbon batteries, can extend the amount of listen time that way, bonus. Because then you don't have to worry about, your commute to work. You're like, oh, crud. It's a cold day. That's another thing that affects it, the temperature. If you live up in the northern hemispheres, you know what I mean. You know exactly what I mean. When that temperature hits minus 15 and colder, Celsius, not Fahrenheit, Celsius, that battery is going to drop like a rock in the ocean. So if the silicon carbon battery can limit that and extend the battery life, all the better. Performance boosts. Silicon carbon batteries charge faster and last longer, meaning creators and listeners can run resource-heavy apps, editing, live streaming without draining power. You're going to drain power. You just won't drain that much power, which is good. I mean, it's really good for content creators to have a silicon carbon battery instead of these lithium ion batteries. And I don't see anything wrong with that. I think that is a good thing. And this next point is actually even better. Global access and equity. Stronger batteries make devices more reliable in regions with less consistent charging access, potentially widening podcast reach in emerging markets. This is good because there is something else that I want to talk about more than this, but I mean, this is kind of important because if you don't if you're too worried about, how long am I going to have my battery, because I live 15, 20 miles away, and I have to walk home, in some of these markets that are listening to these emerging markets that are listening to these podcasts and live streams, that can be an issue. That can be a massive issue. The main point that I'm actually trying to get here, lithium ion batteries are not eco-friendly as most people think they are. The second this battery dies, you cannot recycle it. You cannot dispose of it. You cannot reuse it. Once it's done, it's done. And it just becomes another piece on the landfill. I heard a stat a few years ago about Tesla's batteries and how much pollution one Tesla battery causes in order to produce it. And once that Tesla battery is drained and can no longer be recharged, it is a brick. A complete useless and utterly shameful brick. That's all it is. These are all lithium ion batteries. So in order for one Tesla lithium ion battery to be produced, causes you driving your gas powered car, let's say diesel, for 7 years. 7 years. 7 years of pollution driving a diesel car, normally 20 to 30 miles per year, 20 to 30,000 miles per year. So all you people thinking, oh, I'm buying a Tesla, I'm doing good for the environment. Actually, no, you're not. Save you the money. Just go buy a regular car. These new cars, they're super, super clean. All they're producing very little carbon monoxide compared to what they were 30 years ago, 40 years ago, even 20 years ago. They're so clean that the majority of the things that come out of the exhaust is water and air. And that's it. There is a little bit of carbon monoxide, but that is normal. That's normal. Not to the point where how much those things cause when you're manufacturing them, and how they get them out of the ground, the mineral, you don't want to know. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. All right, so let's move on to some good stuff, because I was pretty down, and we've had like some really down news that last week with Charlie Kirk, God rest his soul, and God help his family, and I hope his family is fine. I did look up to Charlie Kirk. I thought he was really good, and I really liked what he was talking about. And this is just a little bit of a side comment, and I'm not gonna linger too much on this, but when we start to when we start to silence people that way, it's not what democracy is built on. It's not what my ancestors, especially the Athenians, it's not what they wanted. It happened. I'm not here to tell you that it didn't happen in ancient Athens, because they had a specific law that you could actually vote people out of Athens and completely exile them. So to say that it never happened in ancient Greece, that's a falsehood. I mean, all we have to do is look at Socrates. Socrates died in prison for what? Speaking his mind, questioning people. So I mean, it's a falsehood. Um, Fact of the matter is, it's wrong. It's completely and utterly wrong to do what happened to the late Charlie Kirk. Completely and utterly wrong. If you disagree with someone, that's fine. That is your right. And that is your obligation to disagree with someone if you truly disagree with someone. And it is on your end to it's on you to have a constructive argument to portray your point of view in a way that you can use. Putting doing what you doing what happened to Charlie Kirk is, one, it's criminal. It's criminal. And two, it's cowardly. End of story. And I have that's all I'm going to say about that, because this is more about podcasting and podcasting business, but this is also about freedom. This is also about freedom of speech and your ability to put your voice out into the world so that you can make an impact in your little corner. That's all this is. And when we do something like that to somebody who's like that, that's not what we are stand for. One, I do not stand for that. And two, that's not what I'm building Podcasters Business Insider for. Not even close. So, like I said, without getting into too much, let's get into why growth is a system, not a mystery. Most podcasters treat growth like a lottery ticket. But growth isn't random. It's engineered. There are 3 levels. There are 3 growth levers to build into your system: discovery, engagement, and conversion. Now, let's get into these 3 growth levers. Discovery. Discovery is how people find you. Okay, it's how does somebody find Podcasters Business Insider? There are many different ways for discovery. There's SEO, social media outlets, there's collaborations, there's about five or six. There's many different ways, but those are the 3 main ways. Social, not just social media, but also social outlets as well, such as networking events, such as water cooler conversations. I recently heard an episode with Tim Pool, and he actually put billboards in metropolitan cities across the United States, and he's like, it did really well. I was like, really? So I'm looking at like billboards for here in Toronto to see if I can, advertise Podcasters Business Insider a little bit more. And I mean, while I don't have the funds to do it, it isn't that much. But I mean, if I can get in front of a couple thousand people extra for like a couple $100, and why not? But the easier ways to do it, collaborations is actually a really easy way to get yourself known. Getting onto other people's podcasts is a part of that collaboration. You are offering your expertise somewhere else to somebody else's audience, and they're willing to do it. That is a collaboration in itself. You could do that. That is something that we are doing. Another way of collaboration is I have a service and I make an affiliate out of it. And if I have enough people and I have people coming in, I offer the affiliate link to the people who are willing to sponsor me. That is a version of collaboration. But the easiest by far is SEO. SEO, search engine optimization. All you have to do is find the proper keywords, and ChatGPT does a fantastic job with identifying this. They do great work with this. And you just pop it into here into YouTube, and it does well. It does pretty well. I have to admit, I can't say that it doesn't do well. So that's discovery. So once you are discovered and people are watching and listening to your stuff, the next step is engagement. How you keep them hooked into seeing you, watching you, consuming. I don't like the word consuming, but it is a valid term, consuming your content. So that stuff is like content design, consistency, which we haven't been because of life here, unfortunately. I'm sorry, and I do apologize for that. And community. But community is tough because if you don't have a community, then you can't use the community. So what you can do is you can focus on content design and consistency. Once those two are solidified into your network, into your business, the community will start to build. It will start slowly, as it always does. Okay. But it will start to generate a little bit quicker and quicker and quicker. The second, it's like a snowball. It's like the snowball effect. Starts from a snowflake, and then it ends up this giant avalanche is coming down. That's how it happens. That's how this stuff works. But it does take time. I had a conversation with a friend of mine over the weekend, and he's starting his podcast. And I made it very clear to him, don't expect to launch and have 100,000 people watching your stuff. Not going to happen. You might get 10, 100, 1,000 if you're lucky. If you do things right, probably get 1,000 right off the bat. If you do things right. But you have to know how to do things right. Otherwise, you're probably going to get like 10 to 100 people. That's a normal thing. And it's going to be normal for a long time. You have to be okay with it. And I told him, don't stop doing what you're doing. Remember, the consistency part. Keep doing it. Keep pushing out content. But not just any content. Content that is content that is essential to your listener. If you're in the business world and you're putting out cat videos, funny cat videos, that has no businessman or woman wants to know about. I mean, it's funny. Would they put the funny voiceovers, but it does nothing for them. It does nothing for them. They want stuff that will change their lives. So if you're putting out garbage, you're going to get garbage. It's just how it is. But remember, you have to be consistent. You have to be in it for the long haul. You're not going to get popular overnight. It takes time. As with any other business, every other business out there has a 7 to 10 year business plan. You better have a 7 to 10 year business plan. We do. We have a 7 to 10 year business plan for all divisions under TechForge Media Group, and TechForge Media Group also has a 10-year business plan. I'm not looking I'm not looking for bank loans because that I have my thing with the banks, but anyways. Next stop on the 3 growth levers is conversion. How do you turn your casual listeners into loyal fans? How do you take your listener to become a super fan? Simple. This is the simple part. So once you've done your content design, you've been consistent, you're starting to build your community, you're starting to have listeners now. Now you start to have your offers, your newsletters, your memberships. Does this mean that you have to start these once you get that? No. You should have these already intact, waiting for them to come in. Build it. Build the offers. Build the newsletters. Build the membership portals. Have it ready for them so that when they come into your little bubble, you look like a rock star, like you've been doing this for 10 years already. And they're like, wow, this is crazy. This is amazing. That's what we're doing. But we're taking it a step further. I'm automating everything. Every single aspect of my business is going to be completely automated. I don't want to put my finger on anything. I want to do the hard work now so that 5 years from now, I can look back and say, okay, this method can be improved. Let's improve it. So if you're not mapping these levers, you're just hoping for growth. Systems create predictability, and that's what we want. We want a predictable plan that we can say, here is how I'm going to get my people into my little bubble, and this is what they're going to be doing in my little bubble. And they're going to be happy. For the most part. Not everybody's going to be happy. That's just life. I wasn't happy today, but that's a different story for a different time. So here's one real world example. My first million podcast grew by engineering growth loops. Remember, we've talked about growth loops in the past. Consistent clips on YouTube, referral rewards in their newsletter, and collaborations with known entrepreneurs. Didn't wait for virality. They built repeatable systems to pull listeners in every week. That is 100% of what we are doing right here, right now. We're creating consistent clips on YouTube, referral rewards. We're actually changing the newsletter. I was looking at it today and I was like, it's not working. So I'm trying something different. And this is another thing that you're going to be coming up against is like, you're going to be doing something. You're going to be putting it out there. You'll be like, this doesn't feel right. How can I make this better? That is a sense of growth. Okay. But you have the systems in place that actually allow you to step back one step and say, hey, you know what? This thing is not working. Having a newsletter coming out every other week, generally the same newsletter every other week. It's not working. It's not working. It's showboating too much of the business. I don't mind showboating the business like once a month, but I want to give you value in the newsletter. And that's what we're going to be doing with changing the Rebel Intel newsletter. We're going to be changing it a little bit to be giving you more value and a reason to stay and open up the newsletter and say, hey, you know what? This was a great newsletter. I'm glad I opened it because this tool or this method or this system is going to help me in my podcasting or even in my life. It's the systems that you put in play that will allow you to step back and do that kind of 35,000 foot view overview of what you're doing. But even more so, that when people start coming into your sphere, they're a part of that sphere too as well, and they're getting the value as well, because that's what it is. It's about giving value to people. It is about making money. I mean, it's a business and you want to make money, but it's more on the lines of giving value to somebody that will enrich their lives in one way or another. So here's what I want you to do today. Audit your growth engine. Write down how listeners currently discover your show. I want you to pick one channel to double down over the next 30 days, whether it be YouTube Shorts, LinkedIn, or newsletter. Add a simple conversion step. Every piece of content links to your lead magnet or community. We are doing a lead magnet. We're not building the community just yet. We have working on Underdog Media night and day so far for the last week I didn't do nothing. Last week was just a nightmare. I did do a lot last week, but not as much as I would have liked to have mic drop method finished, but couldn't do it. Not because I didn't want to, because there's just not enough time dealing with emergencies and everything. It didn't work. But yeah. So remember, growth isn't a mystery. It's a system. If you build it, results will follow. They will not come unless you don't build it. But you have to build it with the proper systems intact. And to be honest with you, to be completely honest with you, the more automated the system is, the less headache that you're going to have 2 years from now. I'd rather go through the suffering now than 2 years from now. 2 years of constantly doing everything manually, one step at a time. Ugh, what a nightmare. If you're serious about scaling your podcast, start with the basics. Download your free 15 steps to kickstart your podcast checklist, your blueprint to avoid wasted time and grow with clarity. And while you're at it, don't miss a beat. Join the new Rebel Intel newsletter for insider strategies and real world playbooks every week. Tomorrow is Toolbox Tuesday, and I'm going to be breaking down the top 3 growth channels podcasters should focus on in 2025. I'm going to be on tomorrow at 12:45. I promise. Catastrophes averted from last week. I'm laughing, but I wasn't laughing last week. But anyways, guys, it has been a pleasure. I really hope that you guys are getting a ton of value out of this. Please comment below, share this video, like it, give us a thumbs up. It really helps us. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. You guys have a wonderful night, and see you guys.